What's your name?
My name is Rachel.
Are you afraid to get close to that microphone, Rachel?
Yeah, I didn't want to like scream in it.
Scream in
and
it,
everybody
okay.
would like.
Everyone in the entire
jump in
building
their
knows
seat.
Rachel's here. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So my question earlier, you talked about human beings have moral obligations to other human beings.
Yes.
And
Well, persons. Persons have obligation to persons.
Okay.
So it's personhood. Go ahead.
Okay.
That's a little bit
so-
different, right? So it's more encompassing.
Okay, then I guess I would wonder what you mean by personhood, and I would also wonder what you think of the moral obligations, if you think there are any at all, if you think persons have moral obligations to other living beings.
Right. So it would be a matter of personhood. And I think that we could argue about which in the animal kingdom, where does personhood step in? You and I would probably say, well, personhood, I got a dog. I have the best dog in the world. You guys think you have dogs? They're all junk compared to my dog. Seriously. I don't know what you guys have. Crummy dogs, I guarantee you. What's the best dog in the room? Raise your hand, quick. Best dog, go. A lab. Okay, labs are the stupidest dogs in the entire world. Am I right? They are dumb. Go. Australian Shepherd. We put an Australian on it, so it means it's important. No, it's just a shepherd. It's a dumb dog. I have a Welsh Pembroke Corgi. Now, is that a person? Is Bailey a person? So we might say, well, what do we mean by personhood? Because we have obligations between persons, and I get that. But you and I might say, well, okay, that rat that ran across the room, is that a person?
I would say no.
Okay, so then we got to figure, okay, so that's good. How about like ants? Are ants persons?
I would also say no.
Okay, fine. So we would say there are some living creatures that are they sentient? Do they have free agency? See where all these things come in. We have to figure out where on the spectrum and then what criteria we're using for personhood. Right? Because you would say something between a cat and the mouse. There's some dividing line there when it comes to if you think a cat is a person. Do you?
I do not think a cat is a person.
You don't like cats?
That's not what I said.
I don't either. I have a cat, okay? Kick the cat out of the house. I hate that cat. Okay, but would you say dogs have personhood?
No.
Okay, so where would you have in the animal kingdom personhood?
Human beings.
And that would stop there, right? Nothing below human beings. No other animal in the universe has personhood. I'm just probing where you're at.
I don't think I understand what you mean by personhood.
Okay, got it. So exactly. So I would say I have an idea of personhood that is biblical. That's where I draw it from. And that's why I do think that the biblical worldview does help us in certain ways, because otherwise these lines are rather arbitrary.
I mean,
I don't know how you feel about that, but so I think that what we say is, as a Christian, I would say, well, yes, we're designed in the image of God in a way that's unique from other animals. And what we mean by image of God, we were image bearers in some way. And that's something we can debate about. I've written about it online. You know, it has something to do with our free agency. Some of the things that we know we have, our mind, these are things that we get that are in the image of God that we would say are unique to humans. As an atheist, I would have said, well, no, those are just a product of evolutionary progress, and you are the best thinking of all the primates, and that's why you think you're special. But using a biblical standard, I would say, no, humans are special because they're in the image of God, and we have these inalienable rights because we are in God's image. So that's how I would respond as a Christian. But some people would say that, but even, I'm not sure that's where you were coming from. Some people would argue that animals, lower forms of animals, dogs, for example, are persons, and that we have moral obligations to them because of their personhood. There are some animals you probably don't feel bad about killing. Right? Well, how about this?
I don't feel bad.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't have a problem setting a mouse trap if you got a mouse problem, would you?
I think there are other ways you could go about that.
Okay, like we just channel them out of the house, or I'm not sure how we can't poison them though, right?
So I just think you're trying to get me to say
no, I'm not trying to get. No, I'm not really trying to. I'm just saying there's a spectrum, right? So if we say, well, it's beyond animals, it's just about living beings. There's lots of insects you don't mind killing, right? You don't try to save every mosquito that's biting you. you swat it.
I know what you mean.
Okay, so we're all trying to draw distinctions on where it is that we think life is somehow different enough from us that we don't have certain moral obligations to it. That's all I'm saying. And I think, so I'm using a biblical source. Now, we can argue, there's been lots of theological, for 2,000 years we've had arguments about the personhood of animals. Will there be pets and animals in heaven? This is an argument is classically made by the church fathers. So I think there's ways to kind of split that debate. And so I don't know, I'm not really sure where I've fallen on both sides of that theological debate. I don't think it's important, it's not an essential.
Of the personhood
what other living things have personhood? In other words, what other living things have personhood that will require from us a moral obligation?
I see. So I guess I'm asking, what is your stance on that?
Okay, so my stance, I'll answer this last question, and then we'll hop in for a follow-up later. But my stance on that is that I think that stewardship of our environment only makes sense under a biblical worldview. Because under an evolutionary worldview, a naturalistic worldview, why would I feel bad that I eliminate weaker species? Especially if it helps this species to thrive. And don't tell me that, oh yeah, every species on the planet has to be in absolute equilibrium in order for us to survive. We are here now through a rich history of destruction through evolutionary processes, in which we, as the smartest species, rose to the top by killing everything else. So under that model, I don't know why I would feel a certain stewardship to my environment, but under a biblical model, we're told that we were put here to steward the environment. So I do feel that obligation as a Christian in a way I didn't feel it before as an atheist. I didn't care what species of owl in California is going to have to be eliminated so we can irrigate this land and have more corn crops. I couldn't care less. But now I get it. I'm here to steward all of this.